Hello everyone. So here we are at our last topic for the final term of our course module. And now we will be talking about postmodern architecture. So this is from 1960s to up to present. It is defined as complexity and contradiction. So basically, it is about views or different view of architecture, the way we look at it, the way we think about it, the way we talk about each of the designs or styles that we will be introducing, or in general, the way architecture has evolved has different meanings and different functions for each all of us. And basically, the evolution of all these styles, or going back to all of these styles, and using them as a learning tool, or a setback to look at and ask questions on how do we evolve, or how do we improve our designs, how do we innovate, or should we use this again, should we be incorporating these philosophies or theories in our designs. So this is the time where we question those things. It is a period where we are fulfilling those meanings and being more expressive in many ways. This is also due to all the available systems or available technologies that we have. So this is the reaction against the perceived shortcomings of modern architecture. So even though modern architecture has its own time, it is kind of the revivalist time or the revivalist period, where it seems like it has um, no definite identity. However, it is also renewed appreciation for the rich traditions of architecture past. So from old styles, either they're adapting those old designs, or either they're innovating them. And mostly architects during these periods enlivening the facades with different way of designing, so either by color pattern or ornaments. One of the most prominent architect during this time is Robert Venturi. He's an American architect and one of the most, or the major figures of 20th century. For him, his philosophy is against Mies van der Rohe's less is more, which is less is more. So he suggested that architects should embrace ambiguity, decoration, and messy vitality with the building. So basically, like being playful with the design, the shape, configuration, considering um, all of the possibilities for each design strategy, not not just creating a checklist and disregarding all those who are not going along with them. So even though there's a contradiction, or um, yes, contradiction in each of the design strategy or approach, he want the both and end, or his vision was both and end rather than either or. So it is a pluralistic attitude towards architecture. So the most prominent, or one of the most coined um, design of his is the Venturi house. It is the first prominent work of postmodern architecture movement. So during this time, postmodern is being started, or being being introduced, and this design mainly focuses on the or focus on the way of planning approach, innovating the shape, or rather than the usual shape of a residential house, and different way of treatments for the openings or the fenestrations, the glass, the windows, and different facade or different finish. So it is a 5-room house designed or for his mom, Vanna Venturi, and an architectural historian, Vincent Scully, called it the biggest small building of the second half of the century, of the 20th century. So basically, it is bigger than usual residential house or residential building. I mean, so here's the design from the facade. It may look very simple and very kind of confusing during this or as of the present, because his approaches are kind of different than what we are seeing in the other postmodern architectural styles. But the way he used the forms and the way he positioned each of the openings, and especially within the structure, it has it is a humanely way of designing. Next one, we have ALVAR AALTO. For him, nature, not the machine, should serve as model for architecture. So with this, we should always consider all the or our environment and the people who are using the environment before we consider the other technologies that we have, or rather we should fuse that technology in order to give better approach with the design that will benefit us, the as users. So he's a Finnish architect, one of the first modernists to fuse technology with craft. Excuse. So with his design, he consider all the contours of the land. He consider the shape of the existing neighboring space. He even uses curved walls or sometimes wavy walls, or he's always sensitive with all the existing conditions of the site that will benefit all of those positive ones, and uses it for the benefit of people that will use it as well. So a good example of this one is the Baker House. It is in Massachusetts or MIT. It is a school, so these are for officially co-ed and reserved for unmarried students. So it is like a dorm. So it is distinctive design. Its distinctive design has undulating shape that allows most room a view of Charles River, and it has a wedge shaped layout. So the finish he used is basically bricks with some parts of concrete, and he has a different approach, or a basic approach, I mean, with the windows that are used, the right size, and said to have the right orientation for the daylight or the morning light, morning sun. Also, this concept was derived from the movement of a snake, or the shape of whenever it moves. Another part of the Baker House is the rear area with the main what do you call this, main stairs. So this rear part has a lot of greener trees and shaded areas. So even though it is oriented in the west or southwest part, it has a good location to that you can stay. Next one is the Helsinki University Technology Auditorium. So this is a landmark auditorium and one of the main buildings of Autonomy campus. So it is like an amphitheater, and the way he plays with the shape or the structure is seen in the interior. So HUT is one of the three major Finnish universities that merge and known to be as ALVAR Aalto's University. So during those times, it's like each architect is an ambassador of certain school or certain museums and a lot of other structures. So the way of innovation is with the interior, a mix of concrete and steel for the framing and the ceiling works, then use of natural light to give accents. But then as you can see, the glass gives natural light, yet it doesn't project heat that much, or it blocks the heat, or this ceiling and wall divisions blocks the heat that comes from outside. Next one is EERO SAARINEN. So for him, the purpose of architecture is to shelter and enhance man's life on earth and fulfill his belief in the nobility of his existence. So basically, being an architect, we have a mission that we have to fulfill, not just becoming a famous one for it, or not just to do what we want with some buildings, but we also consider if it is for the better of the community and not just for our own selfish reasons. So he's a Finnish American architect, an industrial designer also, and he's noted for the neo-futuristic style that he adapt with his designs. So since he's an industrial designer, we all know that during these times, a lot of production of steel, glass, and other framings are introduced. So he's basically good with structural systems and using these systems as well as main aesthetic for the design. So his buildings followed unique design direction according to the particulars of site and purpose. So form and function are working together with his philosophy, and a good example of his was the TWA Flight Center, or the Transworld Flight Center. So it is an airport terminal in New York, John F. Kennedy International Airport, designed by Transworld Airlines, TWA, and the design straddles the futurist, neo-futurist, googie, and fantastic architectural styles, as it is conceptualized with a bird flapping its wings, or have its wings spread. Then with the mixed use of concrete, steel, and other materials, he is able to make a design that gives a better symbolism for an airport, so, or a terminal. So this airport is really prominent up until now, and one of the greatest designed ones. However, this is not a very big terminal, but it really gives a different approach. So again, with the help of or with considering the site orientation, it has some natural light with some accents, and gives a comfortable look with the interior. Another one is the Dulles International Airport. So basically, his designs mostly, or the prominent designs, were used with airports. So this is in United States, located in London and Fairfax, so around Virginia. Again, with his approach with the TWA, the concrete columns, or the thick concrete columns with some steel framings, and the curved roof. So airports are usually designed with this manner in order to inhibit more light, or to let more natural light come in. At the same time, the diagonal or the way that the wall is leaning gives a lot of space for the roof to shade. And considering the orientation, so that's how you will design one in the future. Next we have is Louis Kahn. So for him, architectural form should reflect the building's social purpose. So basically, form follows function. However, he is often compared to ancient, or his works is often compared to ancient monuments because of his composition of shapes with the structure, use of rough concrete and sometimes bare, and has massive bulging forms, and play of lights with his buildings. A good example of his is the Kimball Art Museum. So it is an art museum, and also used for programs and research library as well. So its initial artwork came from the private collection of Kai Wilma Kimball, who funds the new building to house it. So it's like a commission work, or sponsored by Kimball, and the way of people are working is still what we talked before. So commissioning, then someone will sponsor for you in order to give you a name, but then the profits goes to the production, of course, or the sponsor, of course, but then it will give you your brand. So one of the aesthetics or ornamentation used with this is the way the vault-like shaped ceiling in the gallery, and the silvery light that crosses each portion of the ceiling. So as you can see, it's just a basic structure in the outside, but a different proportion, different appeal due to the textures and the forms. But then in the inside, it gives this different way of bouncing the light, or diffusing the light. So basically, the shape adds a different way of interacting with our eyes. Next, the Phillips Exeter Academy Library. So this is the largest secondary school library in the world, containing 160,000 volumes over 9 levels. capacity of 250,000 volumes of books. So it is in Hampshire, and there, the way he used bare concrete and the circular forms and shape, along with other are square and some ceiling forms. So some openings, or like in the clear story that projects or gives a different path for the light. So this is his signature. Basic forms from outside, yet the interior is interesting. It's different. So basically, from exterior, made out of bricks and has larger windows. Next we have is Philip Johnson. So for him, architecture is art of how to waste space. So he's an advocate of international style, became one of the biggest postmodernist promoters. A good example of his is the AT&T building, formerly known as the Sony Corporation headquarters. It is the tallest, or 95th tallest building in New York. So it has an iconic pediment or top floor, or this triangular roof-like design with its rooftop. So this is basically a rooftop area. So this structure is mixed with metal and brickworks, along with concrete columns, to enable to have a straight design and with similarly spaced windows. So another one he has is the Glass House, or Johnson House. This is located at a museum, or it is a historic house museum designed as his own residence during that time, and universally viewed having derived from the Farnsworth House in Piano. So Farnsworth is from Miss Van der Rohe. Then the building essay is minimal structure, so basically simple rectangular with flat roof, or different way of approach for the ceiling and roof, and then purely transparent all around. So the main supporting structure is within the interior. So he is, or this is serving like a showroom or a gallery. So this is the main structure, or the main support, and also the corners, the steel support at the corners. Then next one we have Sterling, or James Sterling, proponent of new brutalism and high tech. He sculpted his buildings to convey solidity. So basically he is juxtaposing materials from brick like textures, then informal coloring of, or informal use of colors with different framing system. So basically he always likes his framing colored with green, and his handrails colored with bright pink and blue. So this is the Neustadt Gallery in Germany. Another one we have is Michael Graves. For him, good design to me is both appearance and functionality together. It's the experience that makes it good design. So his architecture is often coined with childlike cartoonish quality and exaggerated effect. He's an American architect and a designer of consumer products. So he basically likes to design, aside from the building, furnitures and other products that are usable for daily needs. He's also a member of the New York Five, or so these are the biggest architects in the during this time, and the Memphis group. So his design is incorporated with historical references and abstract way of referring to some of these historical designs or historical elements. So one of this is the Team Disney Burbank serves as the corporate headquarters of Walt Disney since 1991. So he uses the seven dwarfs as caryatids in this structure, then has the basic features of old structures or old cathedrals. Has the timber or has the gable roof, then a dome-like space along the crossing like space or crossing, then different or use of different colors, different finishes or textures in order to become or to give distinction with the structure. Another one is the Humana building. So for him, he always considered the structures to be friendly to human as well. So based on his personality, he has or he's very considerate of how the people are using it. So as you can see with this office building, he designed it with particularly spaced windows and somewhat at a size that is set up for a good and natural light. But then the way he approached design through his forms and different finishes is still seen in this one. So this is known for the exterior flat pink granite finish. Like this one, the Portland building located in Oregon, the distinct look based on the windows. However, with this one, he used smaller ones, but same frequency, same spacing, then different or variety of surfaces and a variety of colors used in each section. So he's basically dividing each surface with different sections and coloring them with or giving them different colors, which will make each of these surfaces distinction. So another architectural styles introduced in postmodern in late 1990s are brutalism. So brutalism, or known as beton brut or raw concrete, used by Le Corbusier in his latter buildings. So it describes a massive modern architecture built of reinforced concrete. Then instead of plastering this concrete, it is left unfinished with abrasive surfaces. So a good example is Unit de Habitación, located in so basically located in Marseille, France. Oops. So it is a modernist residential, so one of the pioneer structure that is made with this kind of style. So it is a housing, and his collaborator, painter, architect, with the colors that are used with this one is the Dir Afonso. So it is an apartment type structure and very influential because of the way it is designed. So this is how we usually, or this is how other structures are usually built because of the influence of this one. So Le Corbusier's philosophy is really, or some said that it became very harmful for the people because it is only considering how the style should be, not how it will affect the people inside. And especially it looked like poorly designed or designed for poor. So that's the negative effect of this look. Another one is high tech, so basically using technology in very expressive way, and pioneered by Richard Rogers, Norman Foster, and Renzo Piano. So for our first architect, Norman Foster, for him as an architect, you designed for the present with an awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown. So for him, innovation, using of technology, different means of using that technology in order to keep up with the future. So maybe some of these technologies are not very functional right now or very expensive, but will benefit or will be fruitful in the future. So he is very known for his innovations or machine influence design or visions. Then a good example of his is HSBC building, so headquarters in Hong Kong, of Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, which is a London-based structure. It is, or the main characteristic of this structure is its absence of internal supporting structure. So basically, all of the main supports are in the perimeter. So in order to use or utilize the space inside even more. So it is one of the most expensive building in the world because of this design. And they're able to pull off this kind of structure. And as they explained it, it's very sharp edged with the modernity. Very extravagant, exaggerated on that, or vulgar on that part. However, it is a very good design. So this is the old structures in Hong Kong. So wait. So basically, this is located in Hong Kong, yet the subsidiary are London-based holdings. I mean. Next one we have is Renzo Piano. So he is prominent for his museum works. So for him, a museum is a place where one should lose one's head. So basically, because of the art galleries, how art is expressed, how everything is romanticized. So he's an Italian architect, which is why he has that approach, and delicate for his refined approach to buildings, deployed in museums and other buildings around the world. So he has a masterclass. If you have one, or if you're able to check him on YouTube, he has very good talks. And he is compared to Michelangelo and Da Vinci, that credited him with redefining modern and postmodern architecture. So the way of, or his approach is really distinct if you can check on his sample works, and mostly it is they are museums. Another one we have is Richard Rogers. So basically they were partners at a certain structure. So for him, architecture is measured against the past. You build in the future and you try to imagine the future. So like Norman Foster, So since future is uncertain, you just have to look at the setbacks from the previous architectural styles in order to innovate or make it better in the future. So he's a British-Italian architect noted for his modernist and functionalist designs in high-tech architecture. So this Center Pompidou established his trademark, dubbed as Taoism, were exposing most of the building services on the exterior to maximize interior space. So it's better to show it this way. So Center Pompidou is the largest museum for modern art in Europe. Imagine it like the glass, the Crystal Palace, I mean. So it's like the modern Crystal Palace, and the way it is designed is by exposing most of the framing, most of the utilities, most of the pipes, and naturally base the design with those finishes. So the container vans or the steel walls, the colored pipes based on the utilities or their functions, and more. So another one is the constructivism, usually bent, angled, and exploded forms to represent a certainty of our times, and drew upon theory of Jacques Derrida, who holds there is no fixed truth but only multiple interpretations. So like our prior description, contradiction and complexity. So change of to our view with architecture. One of the pioneer or one of the most notable exponent of the constructivism is Frank Gehry. So he's a Canadian architect, designer, and apostle of chain link fencing and corrugated metal siding, or so-called. His philosophy is architecture should speak of its time and place but yearn for timelessness. So it's like giving a trademark of this certain time and this place, maybe creating a different culture or different view, yet the beauty will last, not just with this certain time. So still very futuristic. So he always uses corrugated metal sheets or claddings. With this one, he used titanium. He used titanium plates for the exterior, so the wall cladding, and this is the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, by the way. So with each of the surfaces, during the night, he has lighting with different colors in order to project some sceneries. So here it is. Another is the Guggenheim Museum in Spain. So like the one that Frank Lloyd Wright designed, this is the other location. It is belonged by Solomon R. Guggenheim Foundation, and exhibits works by Spanish and international artists. So this is one of the largest museums in Spain. The finish with this one is still titanium. However, it's said to be very reflective. That kind of, or he is criticized because of this one, because it kind of harms the animals, especially the birds. And again, this is the fault of the postmodernism because of the tall skyscrapers, the glass or the reflective glass. It's very harmful, especially for the birds and for the nature. This is why Frank Lloyd Wright has his prairie style and only focusing on the horizontalism, because it's for the betterment of the nature. and for people as well, because there is no vertical real estate really. You can't own a vertical space in the air, only the ground. So the interior has mix of stones and wood and different finish, so fine plastered finish. And lastly, we have Zaha Hadid, known as the queen of the curve. So for her, there are 360. So why stick to one? She is known for her designs with some vectors or some spiky portion with some curves, and she was she was the first woman to ever receive Pritzker Architecture Prize in 2004. So this is like the Nobel Prize in Science, and she became the first and only woman to be awarded with Royal Gold Medal from Royal Institute of British Architects. So even though her nationality is different, she is based in London. So she is described as the Guardian of London as well. She has different way of expressing architectural geometry with her design. So a good example is Vitra Fire Station. So basically made out of reinforced concrete, and this is a precast one or a prefabricated one, along with this pointy roof and curved walls. So with her designs, she always gives a sense of movement in order to characterize space, or that's her characteristics for her design, I mean. So mix of polygons with triangular shed. Another one of her design is Galaxy Soho in Beijing, China. So she's able to pull off these designs through BAM. Next one, we have the Beijing National Stadium. So the nest. Then we have blobitecture or blobism, a term for postmodern architectural style characterized by curved and rounded building shapes like blob, organic amoeba, and building form. So with this one in Beijing, China, this is the Beijing National Aquatic Center near the nest, or what do you call this again? The stadium. So this has a pool, or also used in the prior Olympics. So it has a basic form, however use different patterns. So basically these are like the ripples of water, or the bubbles of water that is seen. Then we have the Selfridge in Birmingham, UK. So a great example of blob-like, so a form that is not understood yet has its own identity. So usually uses different shape of windows to give an organic form to the whole design. And lastly, we have the green architecture, the sustainable design considering all the land use, the transportation issues, energy efficiency, indoor ecology, waste reduction in designing buildings. So this will all be discussed on your future subject in tropical design. So basically, sustainability is more on deciding whether to conserve something, to reuse something, or to innovate something that will not harm anything, or minimal harm on the environment. So this is for the future generations, or generally focus on the people who will use it for the future. A good example is the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. So this is second oldest public autonomous research university, and it has this green roof. So this school also has an architecture course, and one of the most prominent for this configuration of design. So if you're able to have a trip in Singapore, this is one of the must see place, and you should check out the schedule to get into this one. So I will be announcing the activity in the Canvas module, and good luck, and I hope you all these topics we had in the past were very useful for your knowledge, and will be useful in the way you design, or um, the way you approach your styles in design. So good luck, and have a good semester break.